playoff stage for VCT Champions Paris is here. So it's time for me to do my pick'ems for the playoff stage, looking at the bracket and deciding how I think it's gonna go. Now keep in mind, the team that I picked to win the whole thing is no longer in the tournament. During my preview of Champs video, I said that I think Team Liquid is gonna win the whole tournament, and they got grouped. So obviously I am changing my pick, but which one is it gonna be? Honestly, my guess is as good as yours. I haven't decided on what team I'm going to pick to win until I do this bracket, so it's gonna be all fresh for all of us. So let's jump right in and look at how this maybe turns out. So this is the bracket that is going to be taking place. Some very interesting matchups here. Starting at the very top, we have Fnatic versus DRX, a bit of a classic matchup in Valorant here. Two teams that have been around the block for quite some time, varying levels of success for both of them. Obviously, Fnatic being more successful than DRX, winning 2 tournaments back in 2023 and going to multiple grand finals, whereas DRX are still chasing their first trophy even after having a very long-standing roster that is now basically completely gone. But after bombing out of playoffs versus Talon and then having Talon bomb out against RRQ, that allowed DRX to get into this tournament, and they are making the most out of it. So far they've only won against Team Liquid, but that is a very impressive feat to be able to beat that team. And they played against Energy, and they did almost win that one, but lost it 2-1. And of course there is the 5th to 6th curse that this team just has hanging over its head. DRX, for some reason, at most internationals they attend, they end up placing 5th to 6th. So for that to happen to them, they would have to at least win one game, but lose the rest of them. So is Fnatic a team they can potentially upset? Fnatic is a pretty interesting team. We've seen them tested in this tournament, but maybe not as much as they have in the past. They've played against RRQ and MIBR. The MIBR match being a lot tougher for them than I maybe would have expected, but they still ended up winning that one. They have some very good performers on that team. But DRX has Flashback, who is playing incredible right now, being one of the top rated players in the entire tournament. So that's definitely a huge thing for them, but I think Fnatic overall probably has the better roster. But is this a match that I could see potentially being an upset? I'm gonna say that I'm gonna be bold with this one because this has been a crazy tournament. I'm gonna say that DRX won this one. I don't think they're the favorites. I think Fnatic should win this one, but there was a lot of matches in the group stage where the team I thought should win just didn't. So here we are. Moving on, we have a matchup we have seen quite a bit over, well, the last few years, I would say, because this happened at Shanghai, and then it happened at Toronto. PaperX versus G2. This is a tale of two teams with pretty differing styles. PaperX known for the W gaming style of play, where they're very aggressive, they get up in your face, they make things hard for you, versus G2, who do play slower, more methodical, play more for retake on the defense side, whereas PaperX try to deny the spike plant altogether on their defense side. These two teams are basically just on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to how to play good Valorant. You either have super aggressive, crazy stuff happening all the time with PaperX, or slow, methodical, calculated Valorant. That's G2's game, and it's been a bad matchup for both teams. Back in Shanghai, when PaperX picked them, it just ended up being a very just bad time for PaperX. But in Toronto, we saw PaperX exercise that demon and get the win over G2. Now coming into this tournament off of that Toronto win, PaperX looked like the best team at this tournament. Running through their group stage with relative ease, they did lose a map to Giant X, but Giant X are looking pretty good right now. I honestly don't think that picking either of these teams would really count as an upset. I think these are just two very good teams that could beat each other. So who wins the champions matchup? I'm gonna say I think PaperX is going to win this one. It's just really hard to bet against them right now. And this does give G2 an opportunity to run through the lower bracket, which they're not strangers to, but we'll get to that later. Moving on, we have Team Heretics versus MIBR, two super interesting teams at this tournament. Both teams that came in as the 4th seed in their region, making it in off of champs points, and both teams looking surprisingly good in the group stage. Team Heretics, of course, taking out G2 in their opening matchup. One of the biggest upsets of the tournament so far, but honestly, I don't think it should be considered that big of an upset because Team Heretics is very good, and they are looking to get revenge from their Champs Grand Final loss in 2024. An absolutely heartbreaking moment for this team, and while they were able to win a Grand Final at Esports World Cup, that's not the VCT, so their record in the VCT still has that stain on it. So they're really looking to prove the doubters wrong, especially because a lot of people were rating this team very low when they bombed out of playoffs. And yeah, I was worried about them because they did go out in playoffs, but I was thinking they should be able to be good at champs. They've done it before, they can do it again. But MIBR is also a very interesting case. A team that many people probably should have rated higher than they did. I personally didn't do a power rankings video, but if I did, they probably would have been last. But we should not forget that this team has one of the best, if not the best, player in the entire world in Ospos, who is on an absolute heater right now, sporting a 1.32 rating and a 1.69 KD ratio. Nice. So he's on an absolute god run. I do think Team Heretics is a deeper team than MIBR, but what's weird about MIBR at this tournament so far is that every map where they win, they absolutely stomp the opponent. Against Bilibili Gaming, they won 13-2 and then 13-9, so the 13-9 isn't a huge stomp, but it's still not even letting them get to 10 rounds. Then against Fnatic, a match that they did lose, the map that they won 13-5, and then against RRQ, they won both maps 13-5. So when this team figures out a way to beat you, they absolutely destroy you, doing their best to just destroy your mental and kick you while you're down. Cortesia is having a great tournament. He's making the most out of this opportunity. We have Artson, who was playing really well against RRQ. We have Verno, who had an amazing opening match. This team does look very good, but so does Team Heretics. But Team Heretics were able to beat both G2 and T1, two very good teams. You can maybe debate that on T1, but G2 is looking good. This honestly is a very hard one for me. I really think this goes either way, but there is also the narrative that Ospos always makes it to top 3 at Champions. So can he do that with a third team, a team that didn't even make playoffs in the region? Well, we'll see how the rest of the bracket goes, but I don't feel great about it, but I'm gonna keep it. Moving on, we have Energy versus Giant X. Energy, a team that made a very good run in Stage 2 to become the 2nd seed out of the Americas, and then at Champs has put together a pretty good resume. I did a video about their run so far, so you can go check that out, but they've looked very good. One thing that I pointed out in that video is they don't have one player necessarily carrying the team. They're winning by committee, they're winning with really good team play. When one star player is having a bad game, another player is able to step up and pick up the slack. So they do have a lot of ingredients of potentially a winning team. And they've looked amazing so far. They've come back from some insane deficits, like an 11-2 comeback versus Edward Gaming, absolutely insane. Losing the first 7 rounds of Map 3 versus DRX, and then they were able to come back. Absolutely phenomenal work there. However, Giant X are not a team to be underestimated. I've been very impressed from what I've seen from Giant X so far. They've looked great in the group stage. This is a team that kind of came out of nowhere and made it as the 2nd seed out of EMEA. And I really wasn't expecting much from them because I kind of just felt like they were a team that was going to come in, have a good run at Stage 2, but then just kind of flutter out and get grouped. But Giant X have looked incredibly impressive. I've loved what I've seen from them so far. Ara is an incredibly talented player. The fact that this guy is a rookie is just scary because he's just going to keep getting better. You got players like Flickless playing well, Grabino as well, Cloud is doing great. And this is another team that's able to come back from deficits, and they've done a really good job at bouncing back from losing a map. They beat Sentinels 2-1 in a pretty surprising win for them, at least at the time. This team seems to be able to flip a switch and then they're locked in and they know what they're doing. And then they can dominate their opponent by having some insanely good play from their star players like Ara. So I do think Energy on paper is probably a better team overall. Giant X do kind of seem like a sleeper dark horse here, and you know, EMEA's record against Americas this year is pretty lopsided. I'm already giving them the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say that Giant X win this one. All right, continuing in the upper bracket overall, we have PaperX versus DRX, the only 2 Pacific teams in this bracket. So while Pacific is probably the best region in the world right now because they won the past 2 tournaments, they only have 2 teams in playoffs, so only 2 chances to go 3 for 3. But DRX versus PaperX, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because this just feels like a matchup that DRX usually loses. Then we have MIBR versus Giant X. This being an upper semis matchup is actually hilarious, honestly. If you told me that heading into the tournament, would not believe you. But again, I'm trying to get wacky with it. This is a wacky tournament. No idea what's going to happen. Never do, so just whatever. So is Ospos going to get a 3rd team to top 3 at Champs? Why not? Why not run with that narrative? Obviously, there are some narratives that are dying in 2025, like PaperX finally winning their trophy. I just think that Ospos is just on a run that might be hard to stop him. He's playing angry, he's playing motivated, and the rest of his team is also hitting as well. So, I don't know. I can see MIBR winning that one. we'll see what happens with that. All right, moving down to the lower round before we get to the upper final. Fnatic versus G2. How is this in the lower round one? Absolutely insane. It's so hard to see either of these teams going out so early. That is such a tough part of the bracket. I really don't know how that's going to turn out, but man, what do I do? Now G2 lost to Fnatic at Toronto, so they're playing two teams that they played at Toronto and lost to. Oh my god. Listen, if G2 is going to win a tournament, it might just have to be in the most insane way possible. I'm not saying I'm picking them to win yet. We'll see how the end of the bracket works. I don't even know who I'm picking yet. But I'm going to say I think they're going to exercise some more demons, and I think it's going to start with beating Fnatic in the lowers. Moving on, we have Team Heretics versus Energy. Yeah, I'm sorry, Energy. I made the video about you, which means I jinxed you. So I'm choosing Team Heretics. I think Team Heretics are just a better team overall. And to getting knocked down to the lower bracket, again, they are used to that position. So we'll see what happens there. Giant X versus G2, another very interesting matchup. Are Giant X going to be able to slay yet another America's team? Doing it to Sentinels and Energy earlier in this bracket. I just think G2 are going to be able to stand up to that test. Team Heretics versus DRX. Well, the 5th to 6th curse will continue is my prediction. So maybe I'm just narrative pilled in this one. I don't know. All right, so this is my top 4. PaperX, MIBR, G2, Team Heretics. Oh boy. Listen, I swear I'm not trying to be America's bias on this one. A lot of it is just off the cuff thinking about it, and I think I've given EMEA a lot here, okay? However, with that being said, I do think Team Heretics are going to make top 3 here. And then we're going to have PaperX versus MIBR. And yeah, MIBR, you're making top 3, but I don't think you're winning that one. And then we have MIBR versus Team Heretics. What a lower final this would be. Also a rematch from the start of the bracket. So, oh man. Also Ospos looking for revenge against Team Heretics for beating them at Champs last year. This is insane, man. How do you choose? How does anybody get mad at me for my pick'ems when just like there's just such an infinite amount of possibilities that are just ridiculous? However, I am going to say that I do think Heretics are going to win this one. It's going to be a rematch. They're going to know what they're going to do, and they really want to win a tournament. So there you go. All right, now we have PaperX versus Team Heretics. So the grand final of VCT Champions Paris in my bracket is PaperX versus Team Heretics. Oh my god, what have I done? I don't even feel good about this, but I'm not going to feel good about any combination of games. So the winner of VCT Champions Paris, in my eyes, it's going to be PaperX. Listen, they're the best team at this tournament, at least on paper, and have looked like that so far. They have players that are just playing incredibly well. I'm going to say that the birth of the PaperX dynasty, which I wouldn't count them to be a dynasty in my eyes. You have to win 3 tournaments within 2 seasons to be a dynasty, but that's just my definition. But this would be the official start of it. PaperX winning this one. And hey, I picked PaperX to win tournaments in the past, and they completely let me down, and I vowed to never pick them again, but now they won a tournament, so it doesn't matter. So they've already won, and if there's a chance for me to get a champs winner right, maybe PaperX getting back-to-back tournaments is where that happens. This would mean Pacific goes 3 for 3. They get their first champs. They have not had a champs win. Team Heretics, yet another heartbreaker. G2 getting heartbroken. Ospos getting top 3. Does that work? It's going to be absolute insanity. I really don't know how this tournament is going to go, but this is what I've come up with. Let me know in the comment section down below. What did you think of my pick'ems? What are yours? Who is your pick to win this whole tournament? Let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye.